Good morning everybody and happy 1st of December. My name is Kitty and this is the Successful Showgirl. So in the Successful Showgirl, I help performers to make more money, whether that's booking more gigs, setting up profitable businesses as side hustles, or running events, shows, you name it, I teach it all. So today we're starting off our Advent countdown. So for each day, for 24 days, I'm going to be giving you one mini tutorial on a different tip each day, okay? Why I've chosen to do this, I really don't know, because it's the busiest time of year. I've got about 4,000 gigs booked in, but nonetheless, I've committed to it, so we're doing it, okay? So, day one, I've decided to talk a little bit about the importance of rehearsing and also a little bit about the importance of gathering feedback as well, all right? So firstly, how often do you rehearse as a performer, okay? Is it something that you have consistently built into your training schedule, or is it something that you just do when you have an event coming up? The most professional performers I know will be doing this on a regular basis. It will be something that is part of their week that they either do daily or they do weekly, where they brush up on their skills and they look back over their performances, over their rehearsals, and they critique it themselves and improve it, okay? So when you're rehearsing, firstly, the consistency is important. Are you planning that in, okay? I have a little weekly planner. I've not filled it in properly yet because my child has been really naughty this weekend and drained me. Normally I do it on a Sunday night, but last night I fell asleep at about 8 o'clock. I was exhausted. But I fill this in every week, and I will fill in all the things that I need to do on a daily, hourly basis. And it doesn't always get done, but at the top I can prioritise things that I have on, okay? So that helps me to manage my time. This is particularly important to block in where you're going to rehearse and where you're going to train, okay? Those things have got to be a key element of any performer. If you're a new person coming into performing, you're just starting out, you go to some classes but you're thinking, I'd like to become a performer. If you're not doing some kind of rehearsal or some kind of practice on a weekly basis, then you're slowing down your progress, okay? So number one, get some kind of built-in regular practice, rehearsal, whatever, whether that's training technique, whether that's training your acts, whether that is doing particular skills or learning new skills, whatever it is, all those things are very, very important. If you were doing any other kind of job, you would have to do like continuing professional development, and you would have to do those kind of things on a weekly basis to keep your skills up. It's the same thing, okay? We've got to take this seriously as a business if we're going to do it to make money, and that is what the Successful Showgirl is all about. It's about transitioning from being an amateur performer to becoming a paid professional performer, and paid professionals are rehearsing regularly, okay? Next, you need to be intentional with your rehearsals. Just rocking up to the studio and messing about for a little bit, running through your acts once and then being like, yeah, jobs are good in, that's not rehearsing, okay? If you can't see yourself when you're rehearsing, either in mirrors or you're filming yourself and watching it back, then you're not adequately rehearsing. You can't be seeing what the audience is seeing, okay? So if you're not doing this already, either if you've got access to a mirrored studio, then great. If you don't, we all have now phones with cameras on. Every single person has one that you can be using to record your rehearsal. And then it's no good recording it if you're not going to watch it back. You need to look back and look at your mistakes that you're making. Look where you pulled a bit of a weird face over here, or where you did some like weird little T-Rex hands in this bit, and you need to fix it. That's why we do it. We look back at all the things so that we can correct them. Yeah, we're not pulling ourselves apart. That's not the point in recording ourselves. It is to reflect on how we can improve ourselves, okay? Being able to see yourself is essential. So always record your rehearsing. Same with your shows. Watch your show footage back. Yes, I know it's cringe at first. Like, nobody wants to watch themselves back. But that's how you improve. That's how you get better at anything. We are performing a visual art. We're all doing some kind of burlesque, dance, circus arts, or whatever. if we don't watch ourselves back, how can we improve? Yeah, it is a visual art. We have to be able to see what the audience is going to see. In the same way that if you're a singer, you have to be able to hear what you sound like, because you have to know what the audience is hearing. Yeah, if you're just singing and you've got headphones on, you can't hear it properly, it usually comes out rubbish. Yeah, so we've got to be looking at ourselves. I know people are going to be disappointed in me saying that, but we do. Okay, we also need to be doing dress rehearsals. Okay, so it's no good practicing, particularly for you guys that are burlesque performers, absolutely essential, because your costume is part of your act. Taking that costume off is a prop, so you need to be rehearsing with that prop. The same with aerialists. I've done gigs before where I've thought, oh, this is a great idea to do this move, completely not respecting the costume that I've got on or whatever, and it's been not great. Okay, so practicing in your costume, if you're wearing wigs, with your wig on, like with all the stuff, so that you can, one, feel what it's going to be like, you know any fumbles that you're going to have, you know any mistakes that are going to be made in the rehearsal room and not on stage. Okay, also as well, if you're rehearsing in your full get up, that's great, because then you've got rehearsal footage that you can send off to producers and people like that who will accept rehearsal footage for their gigs. So you're killing two birds with one stone at the end of the day. So making sure that you do rehearse in your costume, okay, that is essential. All right, so next I want to talk a little bit about getting feedback, because it's all well and good watching your acts back, but how good at you are taking criticism and feedback. Okay, because the first person that's going to criticize you is yourself. You're going to watch something back and you're going to be like, oh my God, I did that. What am I doing with my face there? What am I doing with my hand? Look at that foot, I've not even pointed it. You are your own worst critic, okay? So you've got to get into the habit of being objective when you're watching these things back and giving yourself sensible feedback that you can improve, okay? But it's no good giving yourself feedback of, oh my God, well, I wish that I could get my leg over my head, but I can only get up to here. Like, that feedback is pointless if your gig is on Saturday, because you're not going to improve your flexibility in that time. Yeah, but you might use that feedback to say, well, look, I would really like in 6 months' time my leg to be over my head in that move, so I'm going to start adding that into my trusty rehearsal schedule. Okay, so you're giving feedback on the small things that you can improve immediately, and then planning in something, how you can do that over a longer stretch of time if it's something more complicated. Okay, so first of all, you are your own worst critic. You've got to critique yourself. Secondly, are you asking for feedback from anybody else? Do you have a mentor? There's lots of amazing act development mentors out there. That's not really something that I offer. I talk about business, but there's loads of amazing act development mentors that will look over your acts. Obviously you have to pay for them, and they will help you to develop that act in a professional way. Okay, asking your friends and family to watch your videos is all right, but let's face it, they don't know what producers are looking for or what agents are looking for. They just are going to say nice things, or sometimes they're not going to say nice things, they're going to say negative things because they don't know what they're talking about. Okay, so if I was you, I would invest in getting some professional feedback. If you do competitions and things like that, usually you get some proper feedback at those competitions. Okay, so feedback's a really good way of you improving your acts and stepping your game up. I also want you to remember though, feedback is just one person's opinion. It's not set in stone. I remember years ago doing a competition, and I didn't win the competition from the judges' vote, but I won the competition from the audience vote. And the judges' feedback was that I would never get any jobs just dressing up in a pretty costume and performing. There had to be more to my act than that. That was their feedback. Okay, I've made a career out of dressing up in pretty costumes and dancing. Like my version of burlesque is very corporate. It's very dancey because that's my background. I'm a dancer at heart, so I've very much stayed with my roots of being a dancer, and that's what I've done through my career, and it has done me absolutely no harm. It gets me the jobs that I want to get, okay? It doesn't get me the jobs in quirky burlesque shows because I'm not a good storyteller, I'm not funny, I'm not Neo, I'm not any of those things. That's not me, it's not who I am, it's not who I was in that competition, and they're not the jobs that I get, but they're not the jobs that I want. So it's never going to do any harm listening to feedback, but you can also disregard feedback as well. Not all feedback is the same, and not all feedback is good, okay? You can just take it with a pinch of salt, all right? I also used to have, on the other end of the spectrum, I used to have a singing teacher, and she was amazing, but every lesson that I had, she would always say, like, how good my acts were, and there was no real feedback to it. It was just, oh, that was really good. Yeah, that sounded amazing. Yeah, you could tweak that a little bit, but otherwise it was really good. And for me, I didn't really like that. I wanted someone to pull it apart so that I could make it even better. And in the end, I started not having any more lessons with that person purely because I just felt like I was just getting told it was good all the time and I wasn't getting anything to improve. And that was the whole point in doing those sessions with that instructor. So I want you to start asking for feedback. Don't take unsolicited feedback from audience members or people that are just being mean. Ignore them, they're idiots. But asking someone professional for feedback is great. Doing competitions and listening to their feedback is great, but you can also take feedback with a pinch of salt. It doesn't have to be the be all and end all. At the end of the day, you know what you want to achieve with your acts. So if you're happy with your act, you're enjoying what you're doing, that's all you need to be doing. If somebody else dislikes that act, there'll be somebody else who will book it, okay? Not everybody is going to book all acts. No matter how much of a great performer you are, there's always going to be people who like your act, there's always going to be people who don't like your act. Like that Dita Von Teese quote, you can be the ripest, juiciest peach in the box, but there's always going to be someone who doesn't like peaches. It makes no difference, okay? So I want you to start looking back over your rehearsal footage, rehearsing intentionally, rehearsing in your costume, filming it so you've got rehearsal footage, looking back over it, and also asking for feedback from trusted mentors. If you've got a teacher that you go to, you should be asking them for feedback, and they should be giving you fair, constructive feedback, okay? If you are an instructor and you're teaching performers and you're giving feedback, the best way to give feedback is to tell somebody something good that they're doing, something positive, tell them something in the middle that they can improve, and then at the end tell them something else that they're doing that's positive. Yeah, that's that. When I was at medical school, that's how we were always taught to give feedback about anything. Okay, so giving something positive about what that performer is achieving, something in the middle that they can improve, not something they're doing bad, something that requires improvement, and then again something positive about that act. That's a really good way to give constructive, proper feedback that someone's going to take on board and not feel attacked by. Does that make sense? All right, so that is my tip for today. Making sure you're scheduling your rehearsals, making sure you're being intentional with them, making sure you're taking on board feedback, particularly your own, and not being too harsh to yourself, and that will get you moving forward. I'm sure if you're not doing it already, that will have you improving at lightning speed. So thank you for joining me today, and I will see you all tomorrow for day 2 tip.